You want to go first? Let me go first. I'm Trinity, and I'm Phoenix's mom.
I'm Phoenix, and I'm their son.
And I'm Michael. I'm Phoenix's dad. Also, a shout out to Fossil Ridge. I used to work here 2 years ago. Now I'm over at PCA.
I'm in 2nd grade. My teacher is Tamra. I don't usually have free time at school, if you mean at school.
Okay, so what about at home? What do you like to do?
Do my 30 minutes of reading, then 30 minutes of screen.
Yeah.
That's right.
Very cool.
What'd you do? What'd you start yesterday after school? Practice.
Oh yeah, soccer practice.
Soccer practice. Oh, dang. That's cool.
What else did we do yesterday, by the way?
I played Fortnite.
That's a good question. No?
Subway.
Okay.
Yeah. Ooh, good question. Do you have a favorite superhero?
Kind of Iron Man or Spider-Man, but Iron Man died in Endgame, so...
I'm just kidding.
Spoiler alert.
I
Well-
would say the story actually starts with Phoenix's birth story.
I was gonna say the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was 39 weeks pregnant when our house burnt down. So we were 5 days away from Phoenix's due date, and his name wasn't Phoenix yet. We weren't positive what his name was supposed to be. And then our house burnt. We were living in Virginia at the time. And
I bet you or you were gonna cry.
I will. No. And so that's how he became Phoenix, was this whole sort of metaphor. We thought we were naming him for the rising of the ashes of the fire, literally, and it actually has been
A lot more.
an extended metaphor. Yeah, like we named for what we knew, but we didn't know we were naming like into the future for what he would go through over this past year.
So, fast forward to September, and Phoenix had been having belly aches and complaining for a few months. We had taken him into the doctors a couple of times, and everything was fine. Probably just a belly ache and things like that. And then in the middle of September, he woke up really sore. So Trinity took him to the doctors again, and this time a different doctor saw him and said, "There's something wrong." And those words are not what you want to hear when your, at the time, 7-year-old son is laying there. And I remember getting the call at school, and just my gut just like sank. I knew that this was not good. And literally within a day, that same day, we were at Children's Hospital, and we were talking about cancer, and we weren't sure what kind, but we were going to be going in for surgery. That was a Wednesday. We were going to be going for surgery on Friday, and everything just seemed to be a blur for a few weeks to me.
Yeah.
How many surgeries have you had now? 5, I think.
I think 6.
Yeah. What started off as what they thought was a sarcoma, which is like a large mass, ended up being lymphoma, basically growth of some of the lymph nodes in his stomach, and that ended up actually being a better diagnosis in hindsight than what we realized. We were pretty blind to it all at the time. One thing I stayed off of Google and everything else. I just wanted to focus on this guy. So as we started down the track of chemo and everything, we also started seeing how much our community came around us and supported us, and that's been evident the whole way through as well, and humbling. And I think this is a testament to that, like right here.
your lymphoma was around 9 centimeters by 9 centimeters by 9 centimeters. So it was really big. And what they say about lymphoma is that it's the fastest growing, but it's also the fastest to die. So we called it Boss Baby, and we were like, Boss Baby is not allowed to boss you around anymore. And so the whole goal was like to shrink Boss Baby. And we spent a lot of time at Denver Children's
5
because, and we clocked it. We drove 6,000 miles from September till February, yeah. So, which is like across the country. And so Phoenix would live there. Him and I would live there from 5 to 6 days at a time and do a whole bunch of chemo. And they say that kids are so resilient. The things that his body withstood would be so much more difficult for someone my age or your age to handle. And he was phenomenal through it. Just like such a peaceful warrior, I would say, in the process. And the staff was amazing, but I think, like Michael said, the thing that was the best was the way that people didn't pull away from suffering. They leaned into it, and they treated this like it was also theirs, which it is, because that is the way, like, I think about that right now with coronavirus. Like, we're literally living the truth that we are vastly interconnected. I guess one of the things I think about a lot is, like, have this quotation about how you have to learn how to sail when the water is calm, because then when the storm comes, you know how to sail. Like, you don't learn how to sail in a storm. You fall back on your muscle memory. You fall back on your community. You fall back on, like, all these ways of living and habits that you've built, and that's what gets you through it. And that's what we felt like. It was so clear. Like, we had the strength to be able to be strength for Phoenix because other people were strength for us. So it was just this, like, here we are, and then here's all of, these people in this community.
Nothing.
For real? Nothing?
Technically nothing.
Yeah. I think that's... Well, you tell me. I want you to speak for yourself, but I feel like that's part of the peaceful warrior that Trinity was talking about is treatment would happen. It was hard, but then as soon as it was over, he's like, that's over, I'm done. Whereas, like, we, in our minds, adults are like, God, that was really hard, and this and this and this. And he's just like, I'm hungry, can we get a sandwich, And so he just really was, like, in the moment, which taught me a lot about being in the moment.
I could tell from watching you, Phoenix, one of the things that I thought was most frustrating was actually how many pills you had to take. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It'd be like all day long. We just had to keep pushing pills at you,
Yeah.
like upwards of 20 sometimes.
Different
right?
things, 20 different
things
things that we tried to do to make me not fill up.
Right, and then we would, like, put it in applesauce, put it in peanut butter, put it in gummies, chase it with an Izzy, chase it with a bubbly, like, maybe it's orange juice. Like, we just kept doing all these things
Yeah.
all day long.
They didn't bring up the thing that actually does it.
Yeah, the pill cup. Finally we learned they had a pill cup, and that was made it easier. And I also think it was hard, especially the last 2 rounds was like 24/7 chemo, so he was attached to his pole for days, so you can't really move much. You can't leave the floor, and then if you get a fever, which was also hard, remember that? Then you're on isolation. You can't leave your room, and so everyone who interacts with you is wearing robes the whole time, and you could.
Kyrie, though, she got like a fever, or cold, or sick. At least
that was hard.
every month.
So Kyrie is Phoenix's older sister, and she's 9, and she was sick through a lot of it. So they're best friends, and we had to keep them separated because he was immunocompromised, doesn't have an immune system. So anything that could get in, which is actually interesting that can be the thing that is the most threatening to a lot of kids is not the actual cancer, but the fact that their immune system defenses completely go down, and then they can get incredibly sick from a very basic thing and not be able to recover.
My turn. I mean, I was teaching a professional development for, Poudre School District staff, and it was during break, and I'm teaching a mindfulness class for educators, and we had just done a meditative sit, and I was like, during that sit, I was breathing in like healing and for Phoenix and stuff, and then breathing out like any of what was left of the cancer, and I'm just practicing that and doing it for him, and like visualizing my breath like clearing his body and stuff, and it was interesting. And then literally about 5 minutes after that activity, that exercise, I get a phone call, and I see that it's the hospital, and my co-teacher was leading at the time, so I stepped out, and it was the doctor, and said, I could tell immediately as soon as I heard her voice that it was good news, and we were expecting the phone call, and she's just like, I have great news, nothing's there, Phoenix is in remission, and it was so good, because what was in the balance was we're going to start recovering versus 3 more rounds of chemo, and it's like literally running through a gauntlet of life and death every time you go through a round of chemo, with all the diseases and the secondary stuff that Trinity was just mentioning. And so to avoid that was huge.
The fourth thing I did, I was like, that's what I was like.
That's right.
So,
yeah, we talked about it at dinner. We were at dinner right after I got home, and that guy, the video is like the best.
Mom was like, so I thought it was bad news at one, because Mom in the car was like, you have to let Dad tell you. So I was like, oh, is this bad in my mind? So then, but then after, I thought, like, I had to wait a long time after he said, you're cancer-free, to know what Mom was meaning, and then I knew, because I thought he was meaning something else. To go to New Zealand.
Oh yeah, why? Why is that?
There was a giant, if this line was a zip line, and ants went on it, that would be how big it is in real life. If ants were poisons and they went on this, that's actually how big it is.
It's a humongous zip line. Yep. So that, what else? There's a few things I know that you want to do.
That bungee.
Bungee jumping.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
this
brought
guy.
it up.
I know,
so.
no, I love it. It makes me excited.
Queenstown, is it Queenstown?
Queenstown, yeah, the venture capital of the world.
And then otters. There's fuzzy otters. They were tiny though, like about that big.
They're, yeah, just in
I
New
want
Zealand.
one as a pet, but I mostly want a bunny. And Christmas.
Yeah. Which is their summer, so.
Because they're like on the whole other side of the world. Plain, right? I wanted to have a TV, lot of food, a long one,
Oh, it'll be a long one.
and so then we could watch TV and eat food and then watch more TV. 2 weeks.
Yeah, like about 2 weeks, eight or 9 days.
I'd
something like that.
rather have it be 15 weeks.
Ooh.
Don't smoke.
I like it. That's a good one.
There you go.